only one. There's only one student. So okay, then I will wait another 5 minutes until join other students. So still have the same number of students, right? When earlier one already. So that PME already, Nihara already joined. So Nihara, is there any possibility to contact others and ask them to join with the session?
Oh, sorry, ma'am. I don't think we have any contact point with others. It's just
You don't have.
no, we don't have anything. No, we only have the Telegram group which is running through the institute stuff. So
that
for that also, like we can't put any messages. It's admins only.
Yeah, better if you can have some sort of WhatsApp group or something like that.
Yeah,
So
I also prefer, but there's no way for us to even talk. Like even in the lecture itself, the chat is disabled, so there's no way for any of us to contact any of the others. I think that has to be done from the institute side, right? Because I've noticed that chat is also disabled, like
but
in every
but I think that other people that I'm already teaching for the several groups that they already having no.
I'm not too sure because for this batch, I don't think we have a group.
Yes, that
I'm
I
not
already
aware.
asked from them sometimes to that give messages, pass messages. They said they already have.
Maybe the institute itself is uploading it to the group. We have a Telegram group, but that is running by the institute itself. Like we can't put messages there or anything. Not too
So
sure.
anyway, that okay, but if you have any some time, that I will give you the time that just have some sort of WhatsApp group, but to at least to have some sort of discussions, huh?
Yeah, that will be better actually.
Okay, that anyway, that I think the earlier already Fumi joined, and once you joined, that she also left.
Oh,
Earlier
yeah.
that the very first day there may be 17 or something like that, right?
Yeah, there are several like.
Yeah, so because the thing is that economics is the subject that you have to participate lively. So otherwise that not like the just listening, that like descriptive subjects that you can just listening and do the task. But here that I need some sort of interaction. That we have to do some sort of calculations, then graphical explanations, all these things. Then sometimes a little bit difficult to understand, right? So that's the thing. So better if you can, that maybe sometimes those who not join today with the session, maybe that they will listen the recording. Please join to the session lively, because one thing is actually I know that it's very difficult to concentrate the 3 hours, fully 3 hours with this lecture. If it is not lively, at least that attending the while allocating your time, the precise time, then you will lose. So then, and also that there's no chance to interact with the lecturer, right? If something that if you have any doubt, that most of the time, as earlier said, that if you don't have any communication with others, very difficult to, if you face any issue to resolve that. So therefore, the one thing is that you should have to attend, especially the subject of economics, right? And because it's not like that are always saying this thing, it's not like the descriptive subject, just hearing and try to understand. Even sometimes though you read the book also, it very difficult to understand the concepts and the things. So that while reading, you know that when we concern about other management, human resource management, marketing, all these subjects, once you read the book, you can grasp the things. But here that very difficult, while only reading book, you cannot understand the concepts and the theories behind it. Right? Therefore, that is essential, the attendance. Otherwise, that you will at the end that you will face some sort of issues, because most of the tutor, they get ready to listen when the examination will closer. So that may be a little bit difficult. I think that where we stop, Nihara?
Last day.
Yeah.
We discussed about types of economics, macro environments and micro environments. Economy, yeah, that's where we basically
I
stopped.
think that where the opportunity cost there from there
Yeah,
I already stopped, right?
yeah.
So okay, then I just want to quickly refresh your memory so that you already introduced about the basic concepts that first we identify. Define what does mean by the economics and the features of economics, and then I think here that the Greek word that economia, right? Okonomia, that Latin word. That we derive the word economics, right? And it's a social science. I think I already explained the difference between natural science and the social science. Then that we are focusing about the individuals uh, producing, exchanging, and consuming the goods and services as economics. And as per the Lionel Robbins, the definition is how can we fulfill, right? How can we satisfy our unlimited wants with limited resources? So that is the foundation, right? That the scarcity is the foundation of economics because we don't have uh, adequate amount, not adequate or the sufficient amount of resources to fulfill our greed, right? Greed means actually the wants, not the needs. So there's a difference between the needs and wants, right? The needs means the essential, and the things, the stuff to live, right? But the wants means the way of satisfying those basic needs. There are numerous ways of wants and multiplied and imitating behavior, and the technology already boosts the wants. So therefore that we already have different and multiplied wants. We cannot satisfy with the limited resources, right? Then the economics, what the economics will do, economics will examine the ways and paths. How can we satisfy? How can we satisfy those unlimited wants with limited resources, right? So okay, there's a considerable number of students already. That so then six, I will give you time to exchange your ideas and the things. Then you can have some sort of WhatsApp group, right? Okay. Then we already understand about how the economics theories and concepts helps to take decisions on business economics, right? That due to this growing complexity and the turbulent working environment, that is very essential to have some sort of basic understanding about the rational decision making. That for rational or strategic decision making, the economic concepts, economic theories already helps the managers while maybe forecasting, or maybe that may be help to do some sort of analysis, right? So based on these analytical data, so all the forecasting things that managers can take productive decisions, right? So then how the economics theories helps to take the business decisions, and under business economics that we are looking at that one, and then we identified differentiations, the difference between microeconomics and the macroeconomics. So that microeconomics normally dealing with the specifically particular firms, households, and individuals, and the individual market, individual wages, individual income level, individual price determinations. In contrast to that, macroeconomics will examine the holistic approach or the big picture of the economy, or the holistic approach, right? Then the, so for example, here that I already think that differentiate by using the focus and the things also, as I remember. Yes, yeah. The meaning the microeconomics dealing with the individual things, and macroeconomics dealing with the economy as a whole, that when we consider about the subjects wise also, that we can have the idea about the supply and demand, then the consumer behavior, the product market, then the market structures, right? So the individual markets, individual market structures, those things that we have to discuss under the microeconomics. Then when we consider the macroeconomics, the national market, national income, then the unemployment, inflation, then the economic growth and development, and investment, savings. So those are the things that we are considering under the macroeconomics, right? Yes, then so like the microeconomics is when we focus about the when we consider the forest, right? When we consider about the forest, when we are, that means the macroeconomics is that we are studying about whole forest. But if we are studying about single tree in that forest, that is equals to microeconomics, right? That that anyway, that means the microeconomics is focusing about the individual things, the individual people, the individual organization, that particular market structure, price determination. Likewise, the single things or the individual things, but the macroeconomics focusing about the economy as whole, right? So then we'll already move to understand about the fundamental economic concepts, the basic economic concepts. So that, as I said earlier also, the economics is based on the scarcity, right? If we have plenty of resources or the vast amount of resources, we not need to learn about economics. So because economics is showing the way that how can we select, or how can we fulfill our unlimited wants with limited resources. So if there's large number of resources available, no need to think about the satisfying ways. So there no need to decide out of different alternatives, which should I select, because we already have enough resources. I no need to select that we can fulfill all the things what we need, right, with the available resources. But we know that that is common for each and every economy. We don't have enough resources to fulfill our unlimited wants, because that we already have different wants, and those wants are multiplied. I think I already gave the detailed handout also, isn't it? I already gave you the detailed handout. Lamai? Arosha, I think I already gave, right? මන් දුන්න නේද පුතා ඔයාලට මේ සැරේ detail handout එක?
We got the presentation, ma'am. Let me check whether I have uploaded the.
Only the presentation?
Can you give me a minute? I'll check and let you know. Because resources are being updated to a different group.
So that can anyone respond that didn't I give you the detail one? පුතා කතා කරන්නකො මන් detail එක දුන්නේ නැද්ද? ළමයි මට මතක විදියට නම් මන් දුන්නා. මං ඒකේ මේ I already gave you then, and I think that even I refer that one also.
It's there, ma'am.
It's there, right?
Yeah, we didn't discuss it together because when we had the first lecture, we didn't have that note with us. But later they have uploaded it. It's there in the group.
Later you already received. Anyhow, I think the introduction, detail one also.
Yeah. We have both the
So
presentation and the this thing.
yeah, I already gave this. I now already distribute with you into your chat box. You can download, right? So then here, this is the explanation, the detailed handout. Is that visible? I'm showing detail one
Yes, ma'am.
is okay. So then here that already explain about the economics and differentiate microeconomics from macroeconomics. So there no need to worry about the PPC and positive and formative. Fundamental concepts of economics, right? The scarcity, because that we already have unlimited wants that we try to fulfill our unlimited wants with limited resources. So reasons for limited human wants, what are the reasons? So better actually that if you can interact. That Piyumi dan Nihara tamai godakala kata karane. So what about the Piyumi? Tamasha? Tamasha Caldera. Are you with me? Piyumi innawada? There. Chinta? මේ ළමයි කවුරුත් නැද්ද මේ හිටියේ දරෝෂා?
Yes, madam.
You are ready.
I'm Arosha, madam. I'm here.
Okay. So then, so that you have to be, you have to be here, or otherwise, මේක දාලා that ඔයාලා කොහේ හරි ගිහලා පැය 3ම මේක මෙහෙම කරාට වැඩක් නැහැ. ඉන්න ඕනේ පුතේ ක්ලාස් එකේ හොඳද? So, okay, then Chinta and Piyumi, Tamasha. So you have to be here, right? So otherwise maybe we are difficult. Okay, then can you tell me what are the reasons for limitless human wants? So because they are numerous, right? So they are numerous. Then earlier also I already asked the same question that you all agree to discuss in English. But if someone is need that I can use both languages, please let me know. Otherwise that maybe that sometimes that you made some I mean that some sort of like that inquiries that I'm already doing all the things in English that we cannot understand. But in the very beginning also I already asked, is that okay to conduct all things and explanation and the things already in English, or you need that some explanations in Sinhala? So then second day also I'm asking the same question. Is that okay with you to do the by using English, or that needs some sort of clarification in Sinhala also? Is that okay, Arosha, Chinta?
For me, it's okay, madam, in English.
Okay, madam.
Okay. So the Piyumi and I think Nihara already can manage the Piyumi and Tamasha?
Okay, madam. Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
English is fine. Only in
Okay.
English.
Right. So then, okay. Then that is also easy for me. Otherwise, yeah, that will take some time also, right? When we are discussing the both language, maybe sometimes very difficult to complete. That's repeating the same thing, right? So that yeah, wants are numerous, right? So wants are numerous. There are different type of wants, even though to satisfy that basic needs like hunger, but there are several ways to satisfy those needs. All right, that's why we identify it as wants are numerous. So here already gave some explanation, example like that food, so that there were different ways to satisfy that food, right? The basic need is actually the hungry or the hunger, right? The hunger, then the way of satisfying that hunger may be by having sinzambal bun, or maybe having a slice of pizza, maybe having that we call fried rice, mixed rice, chopped rice, so whatever the things, there are different ways. So that's why to satisfy the basic needs, there are numerous ways, right? That's why we already have unlimited wants, right? And also another thing is wants are multiplied. We are not satisfying after fulfilling one want. Let's say, for example, if we have food cycle, then we need a motorbike. Then we are not satisfying with the motorbike also. We need to purchase car, then the van. So likewise, until the personal rocket, sometimes even personal rocket purchase also, we are not satisfied because we already have collective mentality, right? Collective mentality. And sometimes that we consider about the behaviors of the people, imitating behaviors. We like to imitate others. If the neighbor is purchased 34-inch TV, that we need 54-inch TV. So likewise, that we are imitating the behaviors. So, and also the technical advancement, so that you know that we don't have any need, or even sometimes we not aware about the smartphones, the single button phones, those things. Then technology already introduced some new features, right? Then they are the one already create new wants, and the technical advancement also have some sort of impact on numerous wants. So likewise, people already have numerous wants, new unlimited wants, not the numerous, only the numerous, unlimited wants, and then again we already have limited number of resources, right? Limited number of resources. So therefore, the fundamental first one, the first one, or the fundamental or basic economic concepts origin as the scarcity, right? As scarcity, because that people already have unlimited wants, right? People already have unlimited wants, and they want to satisfy. They want to satisfy those unlimited wants with limited resources, right? Limited resources. So then the scarcity will origin that we can identify as the fundamental basic fundamental or basic economic concept, right? So then scarcity will lead to choice. So due to scarcity, we have to select. We have to make choices between different alternatives, right? Say for example, I think that I already last session also I took the same example as the time, right? That if you are not attending to today's session or today lecture, what will you do? Maybe sometimes you are watching TV, or maybe enjoying with your children. Maybe sometimes that you will have a little nap, so that you already have different choices, different alternatives, right? Maybe sometimes that resource may material or immaterial. So like that immaterial means like the time is like some sort of immaterial. We cannot touch it. But when we consider about like land, so that one also, the land also already have different alternative choices, right? So that say for example, there for the land, we can use for some cultivation, then we can use it for to build a house, or maybe sometimes to establish some office complex. So likewise, there may be different alternatives, right? Different options. So out of all these options, that means we have to select one, because we already have 10 purchase of land. 10 purchase of land, but we cannot use this same plot of land or the 10 purchase of land to build house, or similarly simultaneous to build a house and also to cultivate. And when we consider about to build a office complex. Likewise, we cannot do all the things by using the limited resource. Here the limited resource is land, right? So that this resource already have different alternatives, different choices, different alternatives or different choices. So out of these different alternatives or different choices, we have to select one, right? We have to select only one. So if we select one, then we have to sacrifice. We have to sacrifice others, right? We have to sacrifice others. Then we identify that as what? If we select one, we have to sacrifice other alternatives. What is that concept?
The need is very specific, so that we won't be able to, like, have so many resources. From using one, we can fulfill need.
No, I'm asking that here the second fundamental question, the concept is choice. First one is scarcity. Second one is choice. So if we select one as our choice, then we have to forego. We have to sacrifice all other alternatives. Then we identify that concept as what is that concept? If you select one alternative out of different and sacrifice all other alternatives, what is that concept? Opportunity cost, right? That is opportunity cost. Mataka නැත්ද? So what does mean by the opportunity cost? So opportunity cost means when you make selection, the other alternative have to be sacrificed. If you select one, you have to sacrifice others. So that making choice between alternatives involves sacrifice or cost of which is economics terms as opportunity cost. So that how can we identify the opportunity cost? If you select one alternative, the value of the next best alternative, right? The value of the next best alternative we identified as the opportunity cost. So remember, so I think I already asked you to write down some examples also. So you have to be, you have to be with that result that we have to, before coming to session, definitely you have to go through the previous session. Because you know that the economics is really interrelated. That means without having understanding about the previous, that's why even though the whole 3 hours I already spent with you to explain all these things, I know that today or maybe sometimes you will you already came here with empty mind, so then therefore that's why I just refreshing, so that otherwise very difficult for me to continue. So then these are the resources that we identify, then the scarcity, right? And the scarcity, then I think that you already classified free goods and economic goods. So then choice and opportunity cost also. I think that in last session we already stopped here, right? So the opportunity cost I already gave some examples also. The opportunity cost of watching TV on weekend is maybe sometimes that you already sacrificing your time, that while watching TV, maybe that you already dedicate the time that you can use for studying. So then opportunity cost of going to college is income you could have earned by getting a job out of high school. Right. Here is what is the opportunity cost of for this one that you already attend to the class today. If you are not attend to class, there are different alternatives. Right here that we considered in this the value of second best alternative. Right? Second choice. So that means, for example, that here when we consider about the example as attending to class. So that you are attending to class, the time here, what is the limited resource here? What is the limited resource here?
Time.
Time, right? Yes, exactly, time. So then attending to class, if you are not attending to class, that maybe you already have several options. Maybe that you watch TV. Then maybe that you do some types of OT. Maybe that you enjoy with your siblings. We need the value, no? So therefore, I think that for 1 hour, you can earn 3,000. For 3 hours, that you can earn 9,000. So if you are not attending to today class, then definitely you will do the OT. Right? You will do the OT. Then what is the value of opportunity cost? What is the value of opportunity cost? Lamai? Didn't you understand? Huh? තෙරුන් නැද්ද කියන්න? අරෝෂා? දැන් මට එක එක්කෙනාගෙන මඩ ගහන්න බෑ, please tell me. තේරුම් නැත්තම් තේරුම් නැහැ කියන්න පුතේ. ඔගොල්ලන් ලෙක්චර් එකේ නැද්ද නැත්තම්? So what about Chinta, Piyumi, Nihara? Tamasha? කෙනෙක්වත් නැද්ද?
Yes, ma'am.
For
Yes,
me, it
Chinta.
would be,
Yes, Nihara?
yeah, for me, the value of the next best alternative would be to have a nap or, sleep. It depends with the person's needs, right? So
Sorry?
based on the
Sorry.
options, ma'am, you gave, that would be, maybe having a nap.
Yes, that opportunity cost means that we already have options. Right? Different options. That means choice. Different options. Then out of those options, if we select one, that definitely we have to sacrifice others. Right? We have to sacrifice others because we know that by the resource already have limited. That even we consider the time that we cannot use the specific time for all these things. So like the land, if we have 10 purchase land, we cannot satisfy all the other wants. That means by using the same land, we cannot cultivate. By using same land, we cannot build a house. So therefore, out of different alternative, we have to select one. That is choice. Right? Scarcity is clear. The එකින් ගහගෙන යන්නම්කෝ. Scarcity එක ඕකේද? scarcity කියන එක තේරුණාද? It's okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So then what about the second one? Choice. That also. So that you are not responding, that is the reason. Appa. Just only the Nihara is responding. So what about the others? Hmm? So the opportunity cost means actually that the value of next best alternative forgone, right? The value of next best alternative forgone, that means අතහරිනු ලබන ඊළඟ හොඳම විකල්ප අවස්ථාවේ වටිනාකම. Right? So that if we select one the attending to class, then we should have to sacrifice. We should have to we have to sacrifice definitely that watching TV and doing OT and enjoying with siblings. So because we already have limited resources, time. If you attend to class, you don't have time to watch TV. You don't have time to earn other extra income. Right? So you don't have time to enjoy with your siblings because you already attend to class today. And if you are not attend, the opportunity cost mean the value of next best alternative. අතහරිනු ලබන ඊළඟ හොඳම විකල්ප අවස්ථාවේ වටිනාකම. That we already have different alternatives. Right? Out of these alternatives that we have to, if I am not attending to class, මං අද class එකට attend උනේ නැත්තම් දෙවැනි වට මං කරන්නේ, so that I will use my time to do extra work. Right? Do extra work. So therefore, the value of that alternative we consider as the opportunity cost. Now is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Then write down these examples and tell me the value of opportunity cost. Right? Nimal is a student. Nimal is a student. After his A-level, he continues his higher studies. He continues his higher studies with lpec. With lpec. Without attending to higher studies if he employ in a job he can earn 50,000 per month. he can earn 50,000 per month. So what is the opportunity cost? What is the opportunity cost of selecting higher studies? Selecting higher studies. Selecting higher studies. So what is the opportunity cost? Huh?
Earning 50,000 rupees by doing a job.
Earning 50,000.
From the
Rupees.
Yeah, earning 50,000 from the job, right? So, okay. Then write down this example also. Miss Kathy. Miss Kathy starts her own business. Starts her own business while sacrificing while sacrificing 1 lakh wage, 1 lakh wage that she can earn by working for another company. By working for another company. So what is the Kathy's opportunity cost? What is the Kathy's opportunity cost? So what is the Kathy's opportunity cost?
Losing 1 lakh while she doing another job to
Yeah,
start
so
her own
that,
business.
so that is 1 lakh that he can earn from the employee in
To another company.
another job, right? So then tell me the simple definition about the economics. What does mean by the economics? Huh? So write down that මෙහෙමවත් මේකෙන්වත් ලියන්න වෙයි වගේ මට පේන්නේ. ඔයාලා කරන්නේ නැහැ නැතුව. Right? So write down here the what does mean by the economics.
It's basically the scarcity and the implications of use of resources and production of goods and services.
Yeah, so that simple explanation that we can say, one is the economic study of the production, exchange and consumption of goods and services. According to Lionel Robbins, the way of fulfilling our unlimited wants with limited resources, right? So write down the two definitions. Economics is the study of the production, exchange and consumption of goods and services. Consumption of goods and services. That you have to enrich. Huh? You have to enrich that word already derived from the Latin word, right? The economia. So then under the economies, there are a lot of branches. So the likewise that you have to enrich. Huh? So then second definition, as per Lionel Robbins, it examines economics examines the way of satisfying the way of satisfying unlimited wants with another unlimited wants with
Limited resources.
limited resources. Then you can write down the wants are unlimited, why wants are unlimited, then wants are. So that first, that what does mean by the want, then difference between the needs and wants, then wants are numerous, multiplied, imitate. So that likewise you can explain. Then what does mean by the resources? So better you just take some short notes. So what does mean by resources? Resources? What does mean by the resources? Resources means factors of production. Right? Factors of production. So that means land, labor,
Capital and entrepreneurship.
Right? Land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. What does mean by the land? Resources කියලා. Then please write down land, labor. මම short note එකක් වගේ දෙන්න දැන්. Land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. Capital and entrepreneurship. So land means natural resources. God gifted things. Natural resources. So whatever the things already that mean the forest, the waterfalls, all these things. Right. So labor means
Human engagement.
Human engagement or mental and physical fitness. Mental and physical fitness of the worker. Right. Summary form can ලියා ගන්න. Mental and physical fitness of the worker. Then capital means man-made things. Man-made things like the buildings, equipments, machineries, man-made things. Then entrepreneur means the person who combine land, labor and capital and make innovative and creative product. The person who combine above 3 resources and make creative and innovative product. Creative and innovative product. So what are the prices? What are the prices that we receive against this land, labor and capital? මේවට against හම්බෙන prices මොනවද අපට? land වලට හම්බෙන්නේ මොනවද?
Rent.
land එකට හම්බෙන rent. laborers
Wages.
wages. Capital
Profit, I guess. I don't
in capital interest. Capital interest. Entrepreneurship profit. Right? Profit. Right? That if you use some land, yes, we have to pay the rent for that. Then for the laborers, yes, we have to pay wages. Then capital, then when we think about the housing loan, something that we are borrowing from the bank or some leasing company, there's definitely for the investment, definitely we have to pay interest. Right? So then that for the entrepreneurs, we have to pay profit. So is that clear? Now it's okay. Right, then write down the basic economic or fundamental economic concepts. Fundamental economic concepts. Right? Fundamental economic concepts. First one, scarcity. Scarcity. So how we write down about the scarcity? People have unlimited wants. Unlimited wants. But to fulfill those unlimited wants, have limited resources. Then the problem of mismatching, between unlimited wants and limited resources. immediate resources is aroused. Is aroused. Thereby the concept of scarcity. Thereby the concept of scarcity is origin. Is origin. Then write down about the choice. About choice, right? So as a result of scarcity, the choice will arise. The choice will arise. Resources have alternative uses. Alternative uses. Therefore, it compels us to make. Therefore, it compels us to make choices between different alternatives. As consumers, we always try to utilize our scarce resources among different alternatives. Among different alternatives. So write down the example also, right? Time. time keneka. So that write down the time and you can write down different alternatives. Time, attend to class. You just write down time, the resource, so that you can have different choices, like different choices. Attend to class, right? Attend to class, then watch TV, enjoy with friends, right? Likewise, different choices with enjoy with friends. Then another example is also land. Land. Cultivate. Cultivate. Put up building. Building. Established housing. Established office. Right. Likewise, I know some examples. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So then write down the third one, opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. Right. So when we make a selection, when we make a selection, the other alternatives have to be sacrifices. Opportunity cost is defined as the opportunity cost is defined as the cost or value. Cost or value of the next best alternative of the next best alternative foregone or sacrifice. Foregone or sacrifice. So as I gave you earlier, that we can write down the relationship between fundamental concepts. So due to scarcity, the choice will arise. Due to choice, opportunity cost will arise, right? So then tell me two examples, write down two examples with relate to opportunity cost, as I gave you like two examples. Write down two examples. Okay. Your examples දෙක.
Oh, madam.
දැන් අරෝෂා ගියානේ. හරි. කවන්න. මේ කියන්න බලන්න පුතේ කවුරු හරි. කියන්න බලන්න.
Building a house scheme when able to build up a playground or an office.
Building a house, the opportunity cost of the establish a playground. Right? If you select that building the house, then we have to sacrifice the second as the so that better to give the that what I already gave you with the value. So that's sort of examples, right?
Okay.
Okay. So then can you go through this question number 1 and question number 2? Is that visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So that what is the answer for the question number 1? Factors of production. ළමයි even hard to find out, right?
For the first one, answer is D.
Sorry?
D.
Yes. Yes, D, because not need only the money, that other things also that we had, because we know that the term factors of production, another term for resources. Yes, right, another term for resources. The factor of production term labor means yes, human resource. Terms means natural resources, right? So that not only the money, that other things also we need to capital, right? The second one.
Oh, the second one, answer B.
Answer B, yes. So that basic economic questions, I think that now I am going to discuss with you to the now, right, that basic economic questions. and how to produce, what to produce, to whom to produce, but where the resource used, that we are not discussing. That where the resource means actually that what to produce. The answer, the question is in another manner, right? Where means also again that what to produce. Give me 1 minute. Resume a call. So, okay, then we'll start scarcity, choice and opportunity cost. Now we already have idea about the scarcity, choice and the opportunity cost, right? So then we'll move to have some sort of idea about the basic economic problems, right? So irrespective of whether it is developed country or a developing country, each and every economy has to face these basic economic problems or the issues, right? Because we know that human wants are limited, therefore we should have to select with the limited resources what we have to produce. With the limited resources or scarce resources, we should have to select. We should have to select first what to produce. There are numerous products. So you know that when we consider about a developing country, specifically developing country like Sri Lanka, that we need essential or necessity, essential goods, අත්‍යවශ්‍ය භාණ්ඩක, essential goods or necessary goods, right? Necessity, NECE, necessity, SI. Necessity goods, double S, NECE, necessity goods, right? Essential goods or necessity goods. So then, like that, you know, that rice, the flour, then what we call that, whatever the things we want to live. So those things considered as essential, the clothes, all these things that we consider as essential good. But when we consider about the some sort of developing countries that they can use their resources not only to produce essential or the necessity goods, but most of the time that they are producing some luxury goods also. Luxury goods. What does mean by the luxury goods? Luxury goods? Do you have any idea about luxury goods?
Very expensive ones.
So like that, luxury goods maybe depend on the level of income. That when we consider about the plantation sector people, right? Plantation sector people, for them actually fan may be a luxury good. Right? Fan may be a luxury good because you know that they even don't have resources to fulfill their basic needs. So therefore that they can consider fan as a luxury good. But for the middle income level people, the fan may be a necessary goods or essential goods. But for them, that AC may be a luxury good, right? Luxury good. But when we consider about the rich people, very rich people, that means richest one. The richest one, that we can consider that AC also as a what we call the essential or the normal good, normal or essential goods, right? So likewise, that is based, most of the time it's based on the nature of income, the level of income, right? Then government or whatever the economic decision maker, that may be the private sector or government or both, then they will decide whether we have to produce essential goods, normal goods, luxury goods, consumable goods, then the capital goods. So likewise, there are different varieties of goods. Then from all these varieties, which we should have to produce. We should have to cater for the higher income group, or we should have to consider about the poor people. So likewise, that they have to prioritize. And whatever the resource available with them, they have to think about what to produce. Right? That is the main or the basic economy question. Then second one is how to produce, right? Second one is how, the way of producing, the way of producing. So that, do you have any idea about what does mean by the technology? So because we always discussing about, that is a buzzword today. So we always discussing about this technology. So what does mean by this technology? Do you have any idea about what does mean by the technology? So technology means the way of producing things. Remember, මතක තියාගන්න අදවත් දැන් ඔන්න technology කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? The way of producing goods and services. The way of producing goods and services. Producing goods and services. So that means actually we can use basically two ways, right? Basically two ways. So one is by using human resource. So by using human resource, we can produce like that, when we consider about the apparel sector organization. So apparel sector organizations, most of the time that they are using laborers, that human resource, manpower to produce that. So I already had opportunity to visit Vietnam, that for the industry tour. So then I have been there. Then that we already got a chance to visit where the Toyota and Samsung. Toyota and Samsung organization. Then you know that in the whole operation flow in Toyota, there's only 3 or 4 humans. 3 or 4 humans, all the other functions already fully automated. Fully automated. The chassis of the cars comes through the one assembly line. Then that the one machine already put down that chassis, and then there's one worker to fix, not the fix actually, just provide the tires. Then automatically, that means the machine already fix those tires and pass to the second assembly line, then fix all the doors, other things, and then the next one is already fixed the engine. And so likewise, it will process 3 or 4 assembly lines. Then when the finished product come to the quality chicken, there's one main already to check the quality, right? Within the room that they already with the full of water, right? They already provide water from all the angles, maybe the down, top, and in different angles. They push some water. They pump. They already pump some water. That someone is checking whether there is any leak. And so likewise, they are only for the whole flow. The operation flow, there's only 3 or 4 mates, right? So that means that that use like the laborers or machineries, whether it is using laborers or machines. Are they using machines or laborers? Lamai?
Sorry, ma'am, didn't get the question.
Question එක ගන්න ඉතින් ඉන්නේ ප්‍රේමත?
I'll see that.
හිටියේ නෑනේ?
Yeah.
හිටියා? ඒ හිටියා නම් අපක තේරෙන්න බෑ මං ඇහුවේ. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ වැඩියම අරන් තියෙන්නේ මේ laborers ලවද machines ද?
Seems.
දැන් මං කියපු කතන්දරය අහන් හිටියද? වියට්නාම් වල ටෝටා කම්පැනි එකට යන්න අවස්ථාවක් හම්බුණා කියලා ඒකේ තිබුණ ඔපරේෂන් ෆ්ලෝ එක ගැන කිව්වම.
Yeah, they're using machineries.
Yeah, they are using machines. So that means that is they're using we can classify the technology into labor intensive and capital intensive, right? Labor intensive and capital intensive. So, capital intensive, that means labor intensive. Shrama Sukshama. Labor intensive. INTEN intensive. Labor intensive ගැන ශ්‍රම සූක්ෂම. ශ්‍රම සූක්ෂම. Labor intensive or capital intensive. ප්‍රාධන සූක්ෂම. Right? Capital intensive. If we are using a large number of laborers, like apparel sector, we can say that is labor intensive industry. Right, labor intensive industry. So that we consider about the Sri Lanka actually labor intensive country. Labor intensive because that we are using most of the laborers. So that's why that they already signed, most of multinational companies already signed the multi-fiber agreement with us because they can purchase cheap labor from here, right? Cheap labor from here. That but you know that after 5 years or 6 years, they already terminate the multi-fiber agreement and went to another countries. Why that? Because you know that as initial payment, the basic payment that we can give only 25,000 or 20,000, but after 5 years that we should have to give some sort of incentive. So that may be add to the basic salary, right? So then after 5 years, most of the time they will wrap up or that they will stop their operations and will go to find out another cheap labor country, right? So that is the nature of the even though that we already signed different type of MOUs with different developed countries, they will here only for very limited time periods, right? So then labor incentive. but they most of the time they need to exploit labor, right? Labor exploitation. What does mean by the labor exploitation? You familiar with labor exploitation? Huh? Labor exploitation. Samasura camp. Labor exploitation, so that we are not receiving sufficient payback for our labor. So that is labor exploitation. So then most of the developed countries depend on this labor intensive methods. Labor intensive methods, but most of developing countries, they're fully automated and digitalized. Most of the time that they're using capital intensive methods, right? Capital incentive methods. So that the methodology, so that how should things be produced? So should production use lots of labor? That means labor intensive, or should lots of capital or technology? That means capital intensive methods. Understood? Is that okay?
Yes.
So then last one is to whom actually? To whom that we have to produce. So whether we have to cater to the poor people, those who have nots, or that rich people. To whom? So that means, in other words, actually, that whether we have to produce essential products or luxury products likewise. Then normally that we can have idea about the to whom do we have to produce, that may lead to arise the question of income inequality, right? Income inequality. So that if we produce more luxury goods while catering only to the richest people or high income people, right? That we are not addressing the requirements of the poor people, right? Poor people. So therefore, that may be lead to income inequality within the country, right? So then the decision makers should have to aware about these things. They should have to identify what to produce, how to produce, and to whom to produce. Right? So based on these basic economic questions, then we can have idea about the different market structures, right? Or the different market systems. So whether these questions answered by the private sector, fully answered by like this. I think that with the arrow I already showed you. Okay. So here like this. So then goods and services. Okay. You can see here, this visible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Answers to basic economic questions. That means what to produce, how to produce, and to whom to produce are provided by the private sector. So if all these questions were asked by the solutions given by the private sector, so private sector, we can identify that economy as free economies or capital economies. right? Free economies or capital economies. So all these questions answered by the government. For all these questions, what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, will answered by the government only. So then those type of economic systems we can identify as capital, commercial, what we call centrally planned. Centrally planned economies are socialist economies like that North Korea, Cuba, even China and Russia also. They're now already transform into free economy or capital economies. That USA, UK, France. So all these countries we can identify as most of the European countries. We can identify it as capital economies or free economies. Free economies or capital economies. Because for the basic economic questions, answered by the private sector, right? Private sector. But for the basic economic questions, what are the basic economic questions? What are the basic economic questions?
How to produce, what to produce, and
How-
to whom.
How to produce, what to produce, and to whom to produce. Then answered by the government. So we can identify මොනවා කියලාද? මොන economic systems ද?
Centrally planned.
Socialist. එහෙම නැත්නම් command economies. එහෙම නැත්නම් centrally planned economies. Command economies, socialist economies, or centrally planned economy. මධ්‍යත සැලසුම් view here systems. Then the can you say any examples for free and capitalist economies? Can you say any examples? Free and capitalist දැන් මං කිව්වත් එක්කලා. ළමයි නිදිද ඔයාලා? ළමයි
Go ahead.
Ah?
For capitalism, we can get real estate investments or private education sort of things.
So now I'm asking examples for the capital economics or the free economics. So Chinta, can you say any examples? ළමයි ඉතින් ඕගොල්ලන් මේක දාලා ගිහිල්ලා නම් බෑ ඉතින්. දැන් පැය 3 ජීවිතේට අහනවද ආයි නැත්තම් මේක මේ ආපහු දාලා? අහන්නෙත් නෑනේ. එක්සෑම් කිට්ටුවෙද්දි. අඩුම තරමේ ෆෝන් එක මේක මේ ගහගෙන යන්නේ නෙවෙයි මේක ගහගෙනවත් පොඩ්ඩක් මේ හෑන්ඩ් ෆ්‍රීස් වක් ගහගෙන පොඩ්ඩක් මේක මේ සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න මේකට. මම ඇහුවේ free economies වලට examples එතන මේ ධනවාදී ආර්ථිකය. ධනවාදී ආර්ථිකයන් කියලා කියන්නේ අපි ගොඩක් කලාට develop countries ගත්තාම USA, UK, Japan ඒ වගේ ඒවා ඔක්කොම free, right? Free economies. So then when we consider about the command economies that like North Korea, so give me that 1 minute to plug. And I think that better to have a 15 minutes break, right? So 15 minutes break that I will continue after 15 minutes, right? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Just have a break. So, okay, we'll come back to session. Students, am I?
Yes, madam.
So, okay. So then here, already asked the basic economic questions, right? That facing by the economies. So that what to produce, then it means that there may be that how many, that in how many products, what products, in how much each that we have to, right? Be answered by the developing a good understanding of consumer preference, right? Consumer preference based on the demand and supply, so that we can produce. Then how to produce, that whether using the labor incentive method or capital intensive method, right? So the country might decide use of more labor in the production process, that is labor intensive method of production. So if capital is cheap relative to labor, then country will prefer to adopt capital intensive techniques of production. Then for whom to produce, right? For which income group will goods and services be produced? It is who will have what the production process in a globalized, and that we can think about whether that we are producing for the rich people or the poor people or the middle income people. So likewise, we have to decide to whom to produce. So then economic systems, that we can have idea about different economic systems in real world, right? That basically we can identify the capital or market economic systems, or we call it free or capital or market. There are different names for this market system, capital, right? So that we can use either capital economic system or market economic system or free economic system. Another one also, that is laissez-faire. Laissez-faire. We call LAISSEZ, laissez-faire, right? Laissez-faire economy. So that laissez-faire economy, free economy, or that capital economy is that the decisions for each and every basic economic question. So that means what to produce, how to produce, how much to produce, to whom to produce, like all these basic economic questions will be answered by the private sector. Private sector, there's no government intervention, right? There's no any government intervention. So that this market system is also known as the, you can see the free market system, enterprise, free enterprise system, then the laissez-faire system, likewise, right? So that most of the previous classical economists, I think that in very first day, I already explained about the different schools of thoughts, different schools of thoughts like that, classical economics, then the traditional economics, the neoclassicalists, Keynesian, post-Keynesian, likewise. So most of these classical economics, that means the traditional economics, they explain about this free economic systems, right? Free economic system, because they said the demand and supply. So that maybe that you already have good understanding about after I deliver the next session with related to demand and supply. Then how the price determine. The market forces themselves will freely determine the equilibriums, right? So that there's no any government intervention. Very good example. Very good example when we consider about the exchange rate, right? So you know that exchange rate will determine through imports and exports. So when we consider about exports and imports. So based on this imports and exports, the exchange rate will determine, right? That we already have the previous examples, also we previous experience also. You know that previous governor, the Ajit Nimad Cabral, already print money to keep the exchange rate in a constant level, right? But you know that once the government intervention release, that means when the exchange rate float, the floating exchange rate or the free exchange rate, then freely determine against the value of rupee, right? Earlier, actually, we already have artificial exchange rate, because the government already, by printing more money, they try to control the exchange rate, right? They try to control exchange rate, then thereby that we can keep the exchange rate at the level of 150, 170 likewise. But once the government intervention, they already release the government intervention, then what happened to the exchange rate? They already determined through freely determined, right? The freely determined through import and export, right? Through imports and export. There's no any government intervention. So then what the classical economics and in the capitalist and market system also, they say all the things will determine freely, right? There's no any government intervention. You know that when we consider about the egg price, you see that through demand and supply, that here actually that is the mafia, but you know that normally the price of the commodity will determine through demand and supply, right? So demand and supply, the price will determine. But when government intervene, the government intervene by controlling price, they will already decline that minimum price level or the maximum price level, so that eggs can be sell out only to only below 45. So likewise, the government intervention. Right? But there's no government intervention means through demand and supply automatically determine the price level of the goods and services. Even the exchange rate also, there's no any government intervention. Then through imports and exports. Through imports and exports will determine the exchange rate. So that is the idea of the capitalist economy, because most of the key economic indicators will determine freely. There's no any government involvement. Is that clear? So what I'm explaining clear, students? තේරුණාද මං කිව්වේ මොකක්ද කියලා? ළමයි?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So that when we consider about the characteristics of the market economic systems, then most of the decisions, right? Most of the decisions will take by the private sector, right? Private sector, then that command economic system that already introduced by the Karl Marx, you know that most of the left side people, right? Left side people, that famous book, that Das Kapital, right? And then he argues that socialism, that communism already introduced, and here that actually there's no freedom, economic freedom to select whatever the things that will determined by the government, right? So that government already have the sole authority. You know that when we consider about the Chinese, some Chinese, even still in the North Korea also, they already have planned cities, right? Planned cities, each and everywhere that they cannot build houses. You know that most of the time they already have the similar type of house, similar type of houses. Then maybe not ill treat for the different people, the equality, right? Equality already there, and there's no any income disparities, right? Income disparities between the people, all will receive the equal level of income, right? So therefore that when we consider about the characteristics, right, that we can identify, we'll see one by one what are the advantages, disadvantages, and characteristics of these three economic systems. Then can you say any example about the mixed economy? So what sort of economic system that Sri Lanka already has? Do you have any idea? Students, what sort of economic system we already have? Arosha? Tamesha?
Mixed economy system.
Yes. Yes, exactly. We already have mixed economy. Can you say any example for other mixed economic systems?
Mm,
Like Sri Lanka? Most of the Asian,
Asians. Yes.
most of the Asian countries like that, India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, so Bangladesh. So most of those countries already have mixed economic system, right? So how can we differentiate whether it is mixed economy, whether it is that free economy or capital economy, or whether it is command economy? How can we differentiate? Based on what? Make a market economy එකක්ද, මේක capital economy එකක්ද, මේක mixed economy එකක්ද කියලා කොහොමද අපි වෙන් කරන්නේ? Based on the answering party, based on the answering party of basic economic questions, right? Basic economic questions. So that if private sector answer for all these basic economic questions, we can identify that system as ඒ සිස්ටම් එක මොකක් කියලා අඳුර ගන්න පුළුවන්ද අපිට? All these basic economic questions answered by the private sector. So what are the basic economic questions?
What should be produced? How should
What
things
to
produce?
produce, how to produce, to whom to produce. If all these basic economic questions answered by private sector කෙනෙක් ඔය ඔක්කොටම answer එක දෙන්නේ, so that we can identify that system as ඒ system එක identify කරගන්න මොකක් කියලාද? Free economy. ඊයෝ ඔයාලා කොහෙද ළමයි ඉන්නේ? Free economy, එහෙම නැත්නම් laissez-faire economy, market economy, free enterprise economy, ඔය ඔක්කොම කියන මොකද? ධනවාදී ආර්ථික ක්‍රමය, නිදහස් ආර්ථික ක්‍රමය, වෙළඳපොළ ආර්ථික ක්‍රමය, market economy කියලා කියනවා. Then the capital economy, market economy, capital economy, laissez-faire economy, ඊළඟට free enterprise economy. So how can we identify? If all the basic economic questions are answered by private sector, we can identify those economic system as capitalist or market. So if all the basic economic questions are answered by government, capitalist economics or communist economics. So capitalist or communist economy. Then if all these questions are answered by both private and government sector, then we can identify those economies as mixed economy. Mixed economy the mixed economy system, that basic economic questions, the fundamental economic decisions will take by the both government and the private sector, right? That is mixed economy. That we can find out under some examples. You can write down what does mean by the capital economy, then the mixed economy and the socialist economy, right? If the basic economic questions are answered by the private sector, that is market economy or free economy. If all these questions asked by the government sector only, those economic systems can identify as capitalist. Socialist. Socialist. Then the economics, all these economic questions were answered by the both government and the private sector. We can identify as mixed economic system, right? Mixed economic system, so that we can identify the characteristics. And before that, I think that better to show this one, then you can have the understanding about this economics. You can see that economic questions are answered by the individual, that means the private sector, right? Free enterprise or capitalist, United States, Western Europe, Japan, like that. Then the command economy, the government answered by the basic economic questions, right? That advantages, disadvantages that we can consider all these things one by one, characteristics and advantages and the disadvantages. Even in the detailed handout also very clearly explain. I will refer that one to explain advantages and disadvantages, right? So that like that China, Vietnam, North Korea, right? Cuba, even former Russia, right? That mixed economy means all the economic questions will be answered by the both, right? Both government sector and the, you can see, government sector and the private sector, right? So that we can identify the market, mix and command economics, right? Okay, so moving to identify these characteristics so that you can have good understand about those systems by looking at this video, right? Just have a look on this. Is that visible, right?
Okay, what we want to do in this video is move on from the previous one, which we were talking about the three basic questions of economics. And now we're going to talk about a very important idea in economics and actually really throughout history. Okay, we're talking about economic systems, but before we get onto that, we have already said the production as well. And we've also said that it's the factors of production that produce the goods and services that you and I enjoy. The factors of production are the resources that produce goods and services. Usually sell them in a market if you're in the West, and therefore allow us to consume more with greater production. Okay, so the factors of production are the ones that produce the wealth. Okay, but an important question then becomes, what is the best way to use these factors of production to produce the most wealth? That's an incredibly important. And this leads us on to the idea of economic systems. Now, to give ourselves a definition of what an economic system is, what we're saying here is that there's a few ways to say it, there's a few ways to describe it, and, you know, plenty of equally valid ways of describing what an economic system is. I will give you two. An economic system is the way a country uses its factors of production to produce goods and services. Now, that's a bit generic. So maybe a better one is an economic system is who decides, or a way to decide who owns the factors of production. A way to decide who owns the factors of production. That's not a bad way to decide or define it. And essentially, and I'm going to mention this again, the next slide, essentially we've got three options. We've got socialism, we've got capitalism, or we've got a mixed economy. Now, an extreme version of socialism supposedly is communism. I'm not going to debate the difference between them. I'm just going to give you very general names of each of them. So we have a free enterprise economy, otherwise known as a free market economy, otherwise known as laissez-faire economy, otherwise known as capitalism. Okay, so that's one way to decide or to explain who owns the factors of production. Another way is a centrally planned economy, socialism, or communism. Again, people get hung up on the distinctions in their mind between socialism and communism. And then, you know, you have like Bernie Sanders describing himself as a democratic socialist and, you know, all this kind of stuff. I'm not getting into the distinctions here. We're just keeping it vague, and I'll let you look into that yourselves. And the last one is a bit of a cop-out answer. It's some mix of the previous two. So some mix of capitalism and centrally planned. So now what we're going to do is talk about a market-based system, which is free enterprise, capitalism, or laissez-faire. So what it is a system, an economic system, where the allocation of scarce resources, essentially what we're talking about is the decisions on what to be produced, how they are to be produced. Okay, are we going to use a lot of labor or a lot of machines? And who gets these goods? The three economic questions are decided by whom? The interactions of individuals and entrepreneurs. Okay, so what we've got here now, I don't know who's who, but I think this person is the customer and this person is the entrepreneur, I think. So what we've got here is we've got the entrepreneur here setting up a coffee shop just because she believes that there's a chance or a large chance or a reduced risk of failure and a chance of success, i.e. the reward to enterprise's profit. So she has set this up because given her skill set and her backing herself as well, she has produced this wealth in order to provide people with goods and services that they want at a price that they're willing to pay. Which government official told her what to set up, what coffee she must use, how many people to hire, what machines or capital she must employ? Nobody. She made the decision as a free person what to do with her time. So she owns her own factor of production, which is her enterprise and her labor. Okay, so it was the interaction of individuals and entrepreneurs. And then you say, well, what do you mean by individuals and entrepreneurs interacting? Well, here we have a customer paying. So on some level, this customer here, she is willing to forego the cash that she is paying for the coffee and the cake or the whatever it is she's buying. And she's willing to pay that money for those goods. This person has decided what she is going to charge, and this person has decided she is willing to pay what this person is going to charge. So it is these people interacting with each other that says, oh, this is going to be a success. Maybe I'll open up another one. If no customer came, this entrepreneur would have to close down. So this entrepreneur here has the incentive to provide goods and services that people want at the price they're willing to pay, because that is the only way she is going to control costs and make a profit. And actually, sorry, I should also mention that she's going to try to control costs because that will increase her profit, and that will reduce the amount of resources, society's scarce resources that she uses, which leaves them more available to produce other goods and services, produce wealth, allow us to consume more, allow us to be richer. So it is the interaction of just buyers and sellers that decide what to be produced, what is going to be produced, how it's going to be produced, and who gets it. Okay. Now, if we look at this place here, this is, I believe, Hong Kong, and this is also Singapore here. Okay, so what we have are two examples there of capitalist economies and two examples of very successful economies where people on the whole are wealthy or wealthier than other types of economic systems. Now, we have here a command economy, central planning, communism, socialism, whatever you want to call it. And again, Cuba is one, Venezuela was another horrific example, North Korea is another horrific example of the failed policies of command economies. So it is an economic system where the allocation of scarce resources, what do I mean by this? The decisions on what to be produced, how these goods are to be produced, and who gets these goods are decided by whom? Essentially, the government, the state. Now, that's enough of that for the moment. A mixed economy is some combination of the two. It's amorphous, essentially, okay? It's an economic system or an economy that incorporates elements of both central planning and also private enterprise, okay? So this here is, I'm Irish, this here is Dáil Éireann, Leinster House, okay? And that's where the Irish Parliament or the Dáil meet, okay? And on the other side is the Senate, in Irish also known as the Seanad, which is the upper houses of Parliament. So you have government decisions on making economic decisions, and you've got private enterprise making economic decisions, and you have the combination in a mixed economy of public and private, both in making economic decisions, and Ireland is an example of that, okay? Now, so if we have an economic system with 0% government interference in the economy, they do not make any laws or regulations about what's to be produced, how it's to be produced, and who gets it. That would also really mean there'd be no taxes. Then what we're saying is we have a market economic system. Okay, now that's anarchy in that there's no government. That's the political definition of anarchy. If we have a situation where you have 100% government decision on what's to be produced, how it's to be produced, and who gets it, the three economic questions, you have a communist system, a planned economic system, you have socialism. Okay, but the thing is, with the mixed economies, most countries in the world are some combination or somewhere along the spectrum. Okay, now for a market economic system, what is to be produced is decided by three things essentially: private ownership. So I own my own factor of production, labor, and I at the moment am deciding to use that labor to produce these economic videos. Okay, so that's the first thing. No government directive, commissar, agent has forced me to produce these videos. I, of my own volition, have decided to do them. All right, now demand and supply together, we'll talk about those in later videos, and we've already talked about the importance of price signals. Okay, so if something's very expensive, that says, hey, get out there and produce that because you'll make a lot of profit in doing that. And that means more of that good is being produced, and as such, the price in real terms should fall. Okay, ceteris paribus, of course. So that these are the considerations when we're deciding what to be produced in a capitalist system. There is no we, there's only a collection of individuals that are pursuing their disparate, their different wants and desires based on their skills and preferences. Okay, so there's no one telling anybody what to do in terms of no government saying you need to produce this. Now, how it's to be produced? Two reasons, we've already talked about them. In a market system, it's profit maximization. I want to get the most profit possible. And one way to do that is minimize my costs. Okay, so they want to use the least factors of production and charge the highest prices that they can. And I know they get to choose the prices, but if they charge €1 million for a cup of coffee, no one's going to choose to buy it because no government is forcing people to buy it. So therefore, they can't continue to produce coffee or sell coffee in the long run if they're going to charge €1 million for it. It just can't happen. So it's the desire of profit maximization and cost minimization. And then who gets these goods? It is the demand from buyers. Who the buyers that are willing to pay the highest price essentially get those goods, given the limited resources of the coffee shop owner to produce the coffee. That's 100% true. Now, when we're talking about the planned economic system, the communism, socialism, centrally planned, as we said, we've got public ownership. So the government is going to say that no matter who owned it beforehand, we're just going to take the control of this. Now we own it because we say so, okay? And government objectives. Then we've also got government ownership and government objectives decide what is to be produced. Government directives and government regulations decide how it's going to be produced, and government decisions decide on who gets it. So the question you have to ask is, in a capitalist economy, you have to serve your fellow man to make a profit. You have to provide them with goods and services that they want at prices they are willing to pay. In a centrally planned economy, you don't. You really don't. All you have to do is be in the government, and you can decide all of these things. And you can also decide who gets it. Can also be government officials. So keep that in mind as well. Now, when we're talking about a mixed economic system, what we are saying is it's along a spectrum. So if you look at countries like Myanmar and North Korea, you'll find that they are closer to the government centrally planned way. If you look at Singapore, Denmark, just to be clear, people think that like the Scandinavian countries are massively socialist. In some ways they are, but in many other ways they're not. And it's very important. There was a president of Denmark, I believe, and I'm open to correction on this, who said, "We are not socialist." He literally said that. So it's very important when you hear people espousing the virtues of socialism, and then they give the Scandinavian countries as an example. There's many ways that they're not. They turned their back on it massively after the failures of very socialist policies in the 70s. Okay, so just keep in mind that it is along a spectrum that mixed economic systems lie. And if you're more towards the capitalist view, your standard of living of the average person tends to be a lot higher. If you're more towards the communist view, the average standard of living of the average person tends to be a lot lower. Okay, what we want to do in this video is...
So then I think that you already have some sort of idea about different economic systems.
Okay, what we want to do in this video is move on from the...
Right, then we move to have again that the characteristics that I already in this table clearly shows. Right, that I already distributed that detailed handout also. Then you can have the idea about that characteristics, right? The characteristics and the merits and demerits, or the advantages and disadvantages of each and every economic system. Right? We can use that capitalist, free economy, laissez-faire economy, free enterprise, right? That how can we identify? Because that private ownership, all right, they are the private ownership. Then the centrally planned, or the communist, or the command economy, the state ownership, right? State ownership. Then when you consider the mixed economy, both private and state ownership for the factors of productions, right? So the how they produce goods and services will determine actually the basically not on the factors, the basic economic questions means not only the what to produce, but also what to produce, how to produce, and to whom produce. All these questions will be answered by if it is a capital economy, by the private sector, if it is communist, by the state sector, and if it is mixed economy, by both private and state sectors, right? So then when we consider, so the separately we'll consider about the merits and demerits. When we consider about the capitalist economy, there may be high productivity, right? High productivity, because you know that there's high competition between the competitors, between the rival firms, right? So then they have that, they already have the signal from the price, that the demand arised by the consumers. They want to address to earn more profits, because they all are profit motive people. Profit motive people, because whatever the profit that they can earn, they will produce. So we'll not much bother about the well-being of the people, right? Well-being of the people, that may be some sort of demerit. So even though there's high productivity, because they just want to minimize cost and maximize profit, right? Minimize cost and maximize profit. But you know that when we consider about the well-being of the people, so like that public goods, right? Public goods means like the bus halls, then the lighting, security systems, then the common light systems, the education, the what we call the health facilities, those are not provided by the free of charge, right? Free of charge, that they are charging. They are charging for all these that's what we call for these commodities, like social, right? Social products. Then society gets divided into proprietaries versus proprietary less, or the property less, and property have. That means haves and have nots. That we can identify huge disparity, income disparity, income inequality between the poor people and rich people, right? Poor people and rich people. So that earlier, that actually the good that comes to my mind, merit goods, right? So merit goods means like social goods. Merit goods means like that street lights, then the bus halls, public transport. Those are we consider as merit goods that freely provided by the government. But when we consider about the capital economies, they are not providing the sort of merit goods. So then another demerit, there may be huge income inequality. Income inequality between rich people and poor people, right? So then have and have nots. Have and have nots may exist in the economy. So that economic activities guided by profit motive. So as I explained, that main aim is to earn profit. So whatever the things that they can earn as profit, then they will produce, right? And then individuals can act as that harm society. Example, maybe that they will not much bother about the sustainability. So sustainability means to secure environment, right? That the business malpractices can happen. Then the here, so that already example. So yeah, that better to, you can rearrange. I think this is a Word document. So Word document, then you can have that. Just something that. Because this may be that I am sure in the situation that I cannot do anything. But for you that it's a Word document, you can rearrange it. So that you just, I cannot do that. Just draw the line here. Right, you can see here the price mechanism. This one comes under the capitalism, likewise. So that this line you can draw like this. You just separate. Okay, so like this. Then price mechanism provides automatic answer to the basic economic questions. So as I show you that demand and supply, right? There's no any government involvement. So that like the price mechanism is when we consider about here, like the demand and supply, then we'll determine the price. There's no any government intervention. So then when we consider about import and export, will determine the exchange rate, right? Then likewise, investments Then we draw the investments and savings. Will determine the interest rate. So likewise that through different forces, automatic regulator, that's why we call that the economy will handle by the invisible hand. Invisible hand. So that means in Sinhala we called it as adushamana hastaki. Because that means automatic regulator. So there's no government involvement. The forces themselves, the demand force and supply force will determine the price. Then according to demand and supply, the price will determine. Then according to exports and imports, automatically determine the equilibrium exchange rate. So likewise, the forces, different economic forces themselves automatically decide, right? They will directing resources to the most profitable users. No need for a central agency or no need government involvement. They freely determine. That's why we call it market economy or free economy or laissez-faire economy. So the laissez-faire economy, because there's no one involved, right? No one involved. Understood? Students? ළමයි තේරුණාද කියපු එක?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So that then we see about there's no any government involved. Demerit, some goods and services. Examples, national security, then the street lighting. So those things, those we consider as merit goods. ඒවට අපි කියන merit goods කියලා. So those things will not provide by the private sector. Right? And merit that advantage is because you know that goods are produced according to consumer preference, right? According to the consumer preference, therefore great income disparities and consumer may lack money to buy even the bare that necessary poverty admits plenty. Sorry, ඒක demerit එක. Merit එකක් කියන්නේ goods are produced according to consumer preference. මේ demerit එක එතන demerit එක මේ යටට යන්න ඕනේ ඒකත් එන්න ඕන මේක යටතට හොඳයි. I think I cannot adjust okay, that one okay. මේක එන්නත් ඕනේ. Yeah. So please suggest this one. I don't know what happened to this. Make a product, make a jungle. Those things have to comes under the free economy. Yeah, free economy. Kya rata ten dollar me vati kokoma. First column make it. Okay. This separatists or these things like this. First column make a $10. Okay. Right. So that goods are produced according to consumer preference because demand and supply. Right. That whatever the things demand by the consumers, they will demand. Right. That may be that advantage. Then the disadvantage or the con, the demerit. Due to great income disparity. So that as I said that there may be huge gap between the haves and have-nots, right? So those are characteristics and merits and demerits. Then when we consider about the central plan or the command economy, so that state sector already have the ownership of the decision making. Then the merits that actually there's no any gap between the haves and have-nots, right? So therefore income inequality, income disparity, ආදායම් විෂම ව්‍යාප්තියක් නැහැ ඒක නිසා. හරි. So all are receiving the similar income. So because they are the government will take the decisions and they will treat all the citizens equally. Right. So, but there's lower efficiency and lower productivity because whatever the things decided by the government have to decide. So that they already have the state entrepreneurs and the motives to promote social welfare. So they will provide most of the merit goods. So then we consider about the well-being of the citizens. Right, highly concerned about the well-being of the citizens because all these decisions taken by the government. So that already have the altruistic motive. Altruistic motive means sympathetic, right? So they all take all these decisions very empathetic way, empathetic or sympathetic way, right? So then the limit no economic freedom, discourage private initiatives and entrepreneurs, so that not like the here that there's no any competition between the rivals, that if there's competition actually they will introduce new things, innovative things. So you know that as how the Samsung and the Apple, right? Samsung and Apple, that they already introduced new features, right? Because of this competition, right? Because of this competition between the firms. But here there's no any private ownership. So therefore, whatever the decision taken by the government, most of the time that they will enjoy the stability, or the status quo, right? So that because you know that here, if when we consider about the government sector organizations, right? The government sector organization, you can see they will not risk takers. They are risk averse people, not taking risks or not engage in creative or innovative work. They would like to maintain the status quo or the routine work, day-to-day tasks only. So then there's no any initiative, so creative things, right? So then merits, central planning can be more rational. Central planning can be more rational in goods when providing public utilities. So that they're very eager to provide such as electricity, water, so that the sort of utility. That means utility sector, things that transport, water, electricity, communication, those are comes under utility sector. And central planning cannot be efficient as the decentralized planning achieved through the price system, because that they already have, they cannot, you know, that being a sole agent in the economy, so that they should have to involve for fixing prices of millions of goods and services. So that is somewhat impossible. That's why that is inefficient, because each and every decision should have to take by the government. The government should have to involve to decide millions of prices of several goods and services. So then they will time consuming and ineffective, right? And also that there's no choices. So that all the people should have to, that there's no 3 stories of houses, 4 stories like Sri Lanka. Right, the Sri Lanka, then if we wish to build a 1 story or 2 story or 3 story house, that we can have the opportunity. But in communist countries, there's no any choice. Whatever the things produced by the government, you should have to consider, right? So then what are those are the characteristics and merits and demerits, right? So that you have to clearly go through all these characteristics and the what you call that pros and cons. Most probably that I will check in the examination also what are the characteristics of all these economics, right? Economic systems. Then lastly, that is about the mixed economy, right? So that both private and state ownership there. Then when compared to that centrally planned economy, yes, there's no any equal distribution, right? Equal distribution, but when compared to capital economy, there's somewhat equal distribution because most of the time that health and education, even Sri Lanka also we know, health and education will provide freely, right? Freely over the subsidized price, over the subsidized rates, right? So then, but the demerit years, very good example that you can think about the Sri Lanka situation. The state enterprises may not be more efficient, right? When we consider about the petroleum, when we consider about the CEB, when we consider about the railway, you can think about the efficiency or the productivity of those organizations, right? So then, so the role of the government, important of these economics and provide public goods, right? That as I said, that provide merit goods, provide merit goods like that called street lighting, then the bus halls, then the national security. All these things will provide, and as a disadvantage to control business malpractices and promote competition, there's common of malpractices. You know that bribes and corruptions, right? Bribe and corruptions are too common in some sort of government or the state sector organizations, and difficult to promote competition. To stabilize the economy against extreme fluctuations in income and employment, right? That most of the time, as I mentioned earlier also, they wish to maintain stability or the status quo, right? So those are some characteristics of the mixed economics, right? Then I think that if you move to the PPT, same things mentioned there also, right? The characteristics of the free market. I think that you can have good understanding about those things now. What does mean by the free economy, then the social or the communist economy, and the mixed economy. Okay. So then think yeah, features of the mixed and mixed economy and the social economy and the command economics. I think that today we already discussed about I already refreshed the idea of the economics, then the differentiate macro from micro and the business economics, then have understanding about the fundamental economic concepts like the scarcity, choice, and opportunity cost. Then have a look on the basic economic questions. So after having an idea about the basic economic questions, we'll already identify different market structures as capitalist, then the communist and the mixed economic systems and their characteristics and the pros and cons. Then those are the things already comes under the introduction part. Then before winding up session, do you have anything to clarify, students? Any questions?
Ma'am, I have one question. It's even okay to clarify the economic structures as free capitalism and mixed, right? I mean, the terminology doesn't matter, right? Terminology for the clarification of economic structures. We can even say we have three economic structures as free or capitalism or mixed methods. Mixed
Yeah.
economics. Okay.
Yeah. Free capitalism and
Mixed.
what we call communist, right? So the
Yeah,
for the free economic systems that we can use like the laissez-faire economy, then the free enterprise economy, market economy, right? So
Yeah.
that interchangeably that we can use like the synonyms, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that, but basically three economic structures, market, therefore the market economy that we can label it that it as market economy or free enterprise economy, laissez-faire economy, so capitalist economy, or the synonym for similar market structure. But for the command economy, there's communist and central plan. Communist and central plan or socialist. Socialist කියනවා, communist කියනවා, the central plan කියනවා. All are for communist economies. And then the mixed is just only one name, that mixed economy. Right? We already have three different market structures as capitalist, socialist, and mixed. Right? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, then I think I didn't give questions anyway, that time already passed. Therefore, I will give the questions next time. Please remind me. So, okay. Then we'll meet again from the next session. I will do the demand and supply. Right? Demand and supply, I will share with you that please go through before come to session.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much then.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, Tamasha, do you have anything to clarify?
No, up to now I understand.
Okay. So, okay, then good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, ma'am. Good night.
Good night, ma'am.